Hello my sweeties and welcome back to my channel. If you don't already know me, my name is Elise and thank you for joining my spooky little family. In today's video, we will be talking about MADMAN. Let's get into the video. Okay, so before we get into today's review, I do want to give a quick shout out to my patron Jeanette for requesting this movie for me to review. I had never heard of this film until Jeanette brought it up to me, and I am shook. Directed by Tabor Take, starring Jenny Wright, Clayton Rohner, and Randall William Cook, MADMAN follows a bookshop clerk and wannabe actress who starts seeing this disfigured killer from her 1950s pulp novels come to life, and he begins killing people around her. She tries to convince her cop boyfriend, but of course, he does not believe her. So when I first saw the poster for this, I was like, okay, I love this pulp 1950s novel vibe. It also kind of had this Giallo vibe, I feel like. So I really like that. Immediately was intrigued. I wasn't really sure what the genre was. I was like, is it Giallo? Is it not? Is it a murder mystery? I don't know. Turns out it's actually a drama fantasy horror, but it is also a mystery too. It definitely is a whodunit. I had such a great time watching this film, and this one actually was on my Christmas cozy horror movies list because it counts as a Christmas horror movie, okay? There was a stocking and there was a Christmas tree in her living room when she was reading her book. So you know what? It counts. So while doing my research on this film, I actually found out that this is written by David Chaskin, who actually wrote Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, which is actually one of my favorites in the franchise. I thought that was kind of a little fun piece of trivia for you. I'm not really too familiar with his work other than Nightmare on Elm Street 2, so it was cool to see something else written by him. This is definitely a lot different than that. This was really fun. And speaking of this movie being a lot of fun, let's delve right into our super fun performances. Our leading lady, Jenny Wright, does a great job playing Virginia. She gives this very captivating performance that kind of reminded me a lot of Virginia Madsen's performance in Candyman. So I actually wasn't really paying attention to when MADMAN came out, and I was like, wait, Jenny Wright's character's name is Virginia. Was this inspired by Virginia Madsen in Candyman? And that's why they look so similar and there's so many similar shots of them. And then I realized that Candyman actually came out in 1992 and this film came out in 1989. So there would be no way of that being inspiration for it. So it's kind of just a happy coincidence, I guess. It really is odd that they kind of look similar, and I don't know. They have a very similar acting style here. Outside of Jenny Wright obviously being the standout in this film for me, Clayton Rohner does a good job as Richard, but I do really enjoy Randall William Cook as Dr. Alan Kaiser. Now, outside of Jenny Wright obviously being the standout performance for me here, I did really enjoy Randall William Cook as Dr. Alan Kessler. I thought he was great. I mean, he has such great body language and he plays this really icky, weird, almost Phantom of the Opera-like role really well. It's so fun. I just love it. And also all of the icky prosthetics and stuff look really cool. This film really does have a small cast, so those were really the only performances that stood out. I think that Jenny Wright and Randall William Cook really stole the show here. I also really love the way this film starts out. I feel like it really does delve into that fantasy element. And not to mention, just every single time that Virginia is reading the book and she's imagining herself in the scenarios, it's really beautiful. Like, she's dressed so beautifully in these like 1950s outfits and everything is just so dreamlike. I love the dreamlike quality of everything. And also, if you're a reader, then you definitely know that Usually, if you are connecting with the main character, you oftentimes see yourself in that role, at least for me anyway, so it was really cool to see that. The story in this film is pretty straightforward. You don't get too much crazy twists and turns here. Everything is pretty much what you see is what you get. But it still is very much a fun ride. And I feel like this film really has a nice mix of kind of like this 50s vibe and also this late 80s vibe, and it's a really nice combination. I'd also like to point out the camera work here and just the way that the film looks. There's something about the coloring in this film and the way that it's shot that is very comforting. I think that there's a lot of films from this era, from the late 80s and like into the late 90s that have this comfort feel for me personally. So I really like that. I love the color palette in this movie. Chef's kiss. In terms of the story, while Virginia is very relatable as a character for me, and I see a lot of pieces about her that remind me of myself, I feel like there were a lot of frustrating moments in the film too, specifically with her boyfriend. She was trying to tell him for so long what was going on, and him and all his little friends writing her off as crazy and just not listening to her at all was incredibly frustrating to watch. I mean, you are seeing this girl go through it, crying, really trying to tell you that this is happening, and you don't even give her a chance until the very last minute. Hate that. Of course, another reason why Virginia is very relatable to me is because she loves horror. She loves horror books. She loves reading about the macabre. Queen, we love her, and she's super stylish. When she first reads the book MADMAN, it immediately fascinates her as it describes the acts of a horribly deformed doctor who's super ick, and he kills people in order to make an actress fall in love with him. Very, very Phantom of the Opera vibes. But of course, as she's reading this, it kind of becomes her reality, and she begins to notice that all of these people around her are dying in the same way as this book. One reason I keep up bringing Phantom of the Opera as kind of a comparison to the Doctor is because he's this mad doctor slash writer slash hurt, super hopeless romantic type, and that just gives me major Phantom of the Opera vibes. He is definitely a horror villain that I feel like a lot of people would like. And their dynamic together was a lot of fun. I think their dynamic and their performances together really is what makes the movie so fun. This film also has a ton of rewatchability. I have seen it already twice. I usually like to watch movies once for fun and then my second time to really analyze everything. And this is just such a fun time. While this doesn't have a lot of crazy twists and turns and it's a pretty straightforward story, there is a great deal of tension here, and they do a really good job at just setting the tone and the vibe of the film. So I really liked it for those reasons. I don't really think that David Chaskin has written any other films outside of this one and Nightmare on Elm Street 2 that I really enjoyed. And I also really haven't seen much from Tibor Takis, but he does a really great job at directing this film. He does a good job with the tone and the aesthetic. Really like this. And because I feel like this film is super underrated and not a lot of people have spoken about it, I am going to keep this review spoiler free, so it is going to be on the shorter side, but I highly recommend you checking this out as it really is a fun and short, cozy watch for a nice little Sunday night. You know, grab yourself some hot chocolate, settle in. This is a good watch. It's also available to stream right now for free on Tubi in the US, so you have no excuse. It's free. And with that being said, I am going to be giving MADMAN 3.5 levs out of 5. This is a solid, fun murder mystery. Nothing too crazy here, but you know what? They do a great job. And again, there are so many different kinds of elements to other horror films that I really feel like you guys would definitely enjoy this one. All right, you guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe as it really helps me a lot. And be sure to click that little notification bell to be up to date every single time I upload. And before you go, if you would like to recommend a film for me to review in a video like this, consider becoming a patron. All my links will be in the description bar down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!